I had a brand new corset for this act that I'd performed hundreds of times before, and I had made the rookie mistake of not testing out my new corset before I took it on stage. Just went out there, I know what I'm doing, it's all gonna be fine. This corset had a zip in it, and what I hadn't realized was the costumier put a cute little panel of fabric that sat behind the zip. So of course what happened, little excited Poppy, yank, and it just ate the fabric right into the zip, to the point where after the show, somebody actually had to get scissors and cut the laces to get me out of the corset. But of course, I still had a whole act to do. I had a whole section of costume that was underneath the corset. So my act became this weird little, oh, let's try and pull everything out from underneath. Here comes a boob, here comes a tassel twirl, etc. It was definitely not the act I had planned. But the bonus was we had a reviewer there that night, and they wrote in their review that Poppy Cherry's routine was the most carefully constructed costume malfunction they had ever seen. So I guess it worked out in my favor. As a baby burlesquer, especially back in the days of everybody uses cash for everything when I got started, I just wanted to have fun. I didn't really care about the money side of it. Let's come in, let's get some cash, let's spend it on some random stuff. And I wasn't really taking it seriously. And I think the best piece of advice was when Strawberry Siren said to me, you actually want to treat this as a business, and you want to keep receipts for what you do, and you want to make sure that you're actually declaring the income that you receive, because one day you're going to want to go for a loan, or you're going to want to do something, and it's actually going to be good for you to be showing that you're actually making money rather than pretending it doesn't exist. So that was a sobering little lesson for excited little Poppy, but definitely one that's only got more and more important as the years go along. The weirdest gig I ever did was probably, look, there's been lots, but it was probably a little event that I did for a cafe that wanted to put on an evening party, and they hired me to be the only burlesque performer of the night. My performance area was a staircase, so I was performing on this staircase that was kind of like here against the wall, just performing looking down at the audience, and I didn't actually have a flat area in which to stand and perform. That's all right, I was pretty aware of that going into the gig. The one thing that definitely surprised me was that they had not factored in that they would need a music system that was going to play music loud enough to cover the hubbub that's made by 50 drunk people. They had what back then was a tiny little iPod dock, barely made any noise. Essentially what I was doing was performing on a staircase to no music. So that was definitely an interesting experience. I definitely think the performer that inspired me the most, and certainly the performer that inspired me to get started in burlesque, was none other than Australia's Queen of Burlesque, Imogen Kelly herself. She was running the very first burlesque show I ever saw that was called Tarnished at the Spiegel tent here in Melbourne. I was absolutely awestruck by her as a performer and went, this is what I want to do with my life. Fast track to 15 years later, and I'm running a burlesque studio, and I've had the pleasure of meeting and performing with her numerous times. So it literally was a dream come true. One time I threw my bra so high that it got stuck up in the stage lights at the venue. And look, you might think that's fine, but this was an old school parkan. This was definitely not one of the newer LED ones. Tech guy had to rush out. We had to get a ladder because that shit were hot up there and we didn't want to start a fire. Favorite move, I'm gonna go with a fan move because I love fans. Favorite fan move is anything where I can do a tricksy little grip change that people don't get to see. One that I love to use at the moment is a head wrap grip change. So I grip change my fan behind my head. Did you even see it happen? Safety pins and pasty tape. Two things I know. Safety pins because I cannot tell you the number of little mishaps. A costume comes apart, something's not working. You need to make sure that your G-string's not going to slip off your under G-string. I don't know. Safety pins will fix everything in a heartbeat. If I've ever not got safety pins, I'm so mad at myself. And pasty tape, and by that obviously a burly girl needs her pasty tape, but bring a second pack. I don't know why. The first one goes missing. Someone's gonna borrow it. It's gonna fall out of your bag. You don't remember what pocket you put it in. Bring a second pack of pasty tape. I think when your crowd is quiet, there's a couple of things that you need to think about. First one is going to be, is my act something that is designed to elicit a quiet response, or am I actually running an act that's looking for a raucous response? Not every act requires a raucous response. Also, it's going to be, has my crowd been sufficiently warmed up? If you're performing a gig where you don't have an MC, it's quite possible that your audience hasn't actually been given permission to make noise, which is a major part of the MC. So those are two things that might mean that your crowd's naturally going to be a bit quiet. That said, you can always ramp them up a little bit further. To ramp up the crowd, I think the most important thing is to engage them with your face. We engage them with our eye contact and we engage them with our facial expressions. And if I can do that for you, then maybe you're going to get a little excited and you're going to want to see what's under here.